from the night. I don't know if you want to kick that off, Sophie, with our feedback that we've got.
Yeah, I can do. So as last year, I mean, we've got mainly positive feedback. So with what went well, we got guests enjoyed meeting new people from different industries. They enjoyed the company of the other people that were on their table, like meeting new people and the people that they already knew. They said it was well organised, loved the food and drink. They thought the hosts were great. Obviously, the venue. They liked the energy of the event, celebrating the apprentices, and then just in general, it says the event was superb. So,
cool. Well done.
Yeah, very successful. Good. And then when we go on to these suggestions of improvement, so we have the ceremony was intense, described as a sausage machine. Maybe have a break halfway through with a game or initiative. So, yeah, I don't really know where we go with that one.
And then people say it's too long. I
know,
isn't it?
That's it, because when people are saying it's too long, but now they're saying have a break in between to have a game or something, and it's like, well, this is going to be longer. We got tried to stick to success rather than shortcomings. It was mentioned that schools aren't doing enough, and I'm pretty certain that was the MP, wasn't it?
Yes. No, it was one of the sponsors, wasn't it?
It was Hill.
It was, wasn't it? It was Hill.
Yeah, it was Hill. And I think everyone in the room went "ee" when he said it. Because it was just before the Careers Champion Award, so it was a little bit unfortunate that having said that, we then said, and now we're going to recognise our fabulous schools. You know, it's like that's a tricky one because we ask if we can see people's scripts, and I don't think he didn't send his script, but also I don't think that was in it anyway. I think he went off on a bit of a one, which he has done previously as well.
He seems to do that quite often.
He's
a bit of a one, isn't he?
He is.
But I think stick.
it could be gently fed back that actually somebody mentioned, just, I mean, I don't know whether there'll be a sponsor again next year or whether what award they would sponsor, but it kind of jarred a bit, didn't it, on the night?
It did,
It was negative, and particularly given that we were talking about careers champions, it was a bit, and that comment was from one of them, so you can understand why she might have felt like that.
Yeah, definitely. We have changed the day to a Friday so that people are able to celebrate with friends and family and not have to work the next day. Also changed the time slightly later as people are coming straight from work.
Okay.
I don't know what your opinions are on that, whether you think it should be moved or changed.
I think a Thursday is fine. The thing is a lot of people have actually got things on at weekends. And don't want work to fall into a weekend.
I think
it is a work event.
It is a work event, and actually we don't want people kind of, in a way, as much as we want people to enjoy and have a celebration,
you don't want them getting trapped.
No, exactly. It's not.
We don't want the Jägermeister experience repeated, do we?
No. It's not. It's not a drunken event.
It's not.
It's not like that at all.
It's not a disco.
No. It's and also it's aimed at apprentices. I mean, I know we do all ages of apprentices, but really, if we're having an event that was aimed at drinking, and some apprentices could be 16, 17, that's a little bit odd.
Yeah.
And it did cause an issue with Williams, actually, when we first arrived. They were saying, well, we can't serve people who are underage. We can't have bottles of beer on the tables and things like that. And we did say, well, most of them, I would assume, are not. And also they're with parents or employers. But it was a little bit of an issue in terms of drinking. So we certainly don't want to make it more of that.
Yes.
You can enjoy a glass of wine if you, feel that's okay. But it's not about having a good old party. So I think that's fine.
Okay, so we got make the sponsors understand the meaning of brief when doing the intro. We had that a couple of times, and obviously we do reiterate a lot that you need to stick to the 3 minutes, and we can't control what they're actually saying when they're up on stage. So I don't really think there's much we can do with that one, other than what we've already done.
I think you see people come up with 4 printed sides of A4 in font size 10, and you think, bloody hell.
Yeah.
Because I've read out a lot of things and had a lot of things, and that, you think that's going to take a long time to get through. Think maybe we could give them a word limit or something like that. I don't know. Just I'm quite happy to do a little spiel or something, and just see how long it takes if 2 sides in font size 12 is enough or whatever. But we put a restriction on the on the word limits on the applications, don't we? And maybe we should same with those. But
in fairness, I
we do already check their scripts.
Yeah, I don't think anyone went that bad. I mean, the only one that was bad was Hill Construction, in my opinion.
And that was the same as
Paul
last
Jones
year.
went over and kind of read what was in the brochure, didn't he? That was kind of a bit lengthy. I mean, unless we just sort of get the sponsors just to read out the sponsors' name, the nominees' names, and they don't do a spiel. I mean, perhaps they don't talk about themselves, and then they just read about the.
That's part of what they're paying for, isn't it? Though, promoting their companies.
And if they do stick to time, that's all fine. It's just 1 or 2 individuals. I think it was better, and I think a lot of them did send the script through, which I looked at in advance, and they were shorter. I think probably those ones that didn't were the ones that lastminute.com people that just put it together a bit quickly and enjoyed their time on the stage a bit too much. But it was less. There was a couple of comments on it, but less, I think.
I think the whole sort of from announcing the winner to the photographs to the getting them off stage,
that was really slick.
really slick. I mean, that photographer was like boom, 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 done. I mean, it was brilliant. I thought that. I mean, that was a lot quicker than last year.
We did have one person say that we could have 2 photographers that potentially could speed up that bit, but again, I think people would be going, well, where am I looking? And also that's that's another £500-600.
He stood in the front. He takes 2 photographs. I mean, or how many photographs. I mean, I don't think you need a second photographer.
No,
definitely not.
No.
It takes longer is getting the highly commended up, but I think it's really important they get to come up and have.
Yes, absolutely.
It's all about the winner, and the whole point you try and make on the event is that to make it to that final part is a massive achievement, because lots of people have endorsed your apprenticeship journey or you've come whatever along the way. So for me, there's not a lot you can do about that. All awards dinners are the same, aren't they? Really?
No, I think it was really good. I was suggesting, I had a quick chat with Mel, is just at the initial start where we've got the speakers, is perhaps, Simon, for you and Sarah, if you're doing it, I'm not presuming doing it next year, but just to kind of almost introduce it and then invite the speakers, so Nigel to come up, because I just felt that was a little bit disjointed at the start, just to kind of start it off.
I spoke to the guy from Williams, and he said, "How is this going to start?" And the sound guys weren't expecting me to come on, so I was kind of shouting, saying, "Oh, welcome up." So it's easy because it's just another couple of cue cards, isn't it?
Exactly. So, and I think then because you're starting as hosts, then I kind of after my bit, then I could just hand it back to the host to then do the award. So I think that just kind of will just give that little bit of a wraparound, and then people know. I think people then kind of feel a little bit more relaxed because they know the process that they'll be looking to you to kind of run the kind of event. So I don't think that would be much. I just think that would be a good way to start it off.
Okay, so then we have less talking between the awards for people with short attention spans. And I think that was mainly aimed for the people that are watching online, from what I could gather from.
My mum, was it? I saw my dad at the weekend, and he said, "Oh, that was quite a thing, wasn't it? You did there." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, did you see it then?" He said, "Yeah, I watched it back online." I said, "Oh, how much did you watch?" He went, "All of it." And I was like,
"Oh, bless him."
I said, "There's loads of excellent box sets on Netflix."
Yeah, we had a comment as well from a couple of our colleagues that watched from home that were saying, obviously you didn't get the atmosphere from home because the camera's fixed, it's on the ceiling, etc. And could there be cameras kind of filming And we said, well, the problem is with that, we did look at that, but it was going to cost us another £5,000 to do a proper live broadcast. And I don't know, we'll look at it. I don't know yet what the viewing figures were like, but we're not aiming it.
Because it might be about the event and then you let the highlights out afterwards rather than trying to broadcast it live.
Yeah, and that
was totally different when you're in COVID and you can't get together and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
It's not meant to be live.
We've kind of gone that way because it was an option, but whether if there's not many people actually watching it, then it might be better to give them a highlights reel and go from.
Which is what we always used to do. We only do that because the fixed camera's there and it doesn't cost us any more money to do it, and people can tune in. But I don't think we should be starting to change what we do. You've had a few comments, didn't you, Sophie, from people, if they could feel more included in the social media from home and that kind of thing. But I don't think that's the focus. I think the focus is on who's in the room and making it good for them.
Yeah, I had a comment. Somebody.
Show the film. Sorry to interrupt. Okay. I've got the film. I'm just booting it up. Whether you want to show it,
we could do. Should we just go through the rest of the feedback and then do that after? Is that all right, Sally?
Yeah.
Just go,
no, of course.
Get that bit.
No, I had a lady message me on LinkedIn literally the day after, saying that she felt like, I think she was aiming at the Star One selfie competition, saying that there's not anything for the people who are watching at home to enjoy. So thought that there should be a competition of some sort for people that are watching at home. And I was so confused, going back and forth with her, trying to figure out what she was trying to say. And in the end, she went, "Oh, don't worry." I was like, sorry. But I just couldn't grasp what she was trying to say. And I think it was that people at home don't get any recognition for watching.
Problem is, we can't have a live competition like in I'm a Celebrity.
No.
Not at all. It's a But they could, you could sell raffle tickets to people or do that up ahead of the event or whatever. But it's not. To me, it's more about celebrating the winners and the highly commended. And if we don't do a live broadcast, we might get away with not having to answer that question. So
I don't know.
Maybe you could have, as they haven't got the stars, maybe anyone watching from home could take part in the selfie competition where it's them and their monitor or something. As in you can just invite them to take part as well.
To show that they're watching.
Yeah, they're watching from home.
Yeah.
Because Sarah had that lovely one with her husband and boys, didn't so you could do that maybe.
Yeah. Something to think about when we know how we're doing it next year, isn't it? We could do that, and we used to, obviously, in the COVID times. Everybody was sending in photos from home.
You sent us our boxes.
The little boxes and all that kind of thing. So we can kind of come back. We obviously keep a note of all these things and think about it next time.
Yeah.
So the next one is recognise the providers.
Yeah, this was an interesting one. I don't know if people saw.
Yeah, they didn't really elaborate. It was literally just more recognition for the providers. So
I think, and I had a conversation with somebody else actually about this, who's a provider, and what their gist is that we recognise the employer and we recognise the apprentice, but we don't give enough kudos to the provider. So it should be a three-way thing. It's the provider, the apprentice, and the employer. So when we announce the winner, we'll say Sophie Laurie Lynch with Oxlep's logo. We don't say also studying with PRCA, so we don't include all. So there are things we could do. We could show the provider's logo as well. And so the comment was quite negative. It was like, what incentive is there for providers to get involved?
Right.
Exclamation mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. I'm trying to think who it was from. It was anonymous, but there were some providers in the room. So they were basically saying, why should we bother? Because we don't get anything from it.
So that's valid feedback then, isn't it? And
if
on the slide you had the person's name, their employer, and the provider, that's great, isn't it? And then when whoever wins or gets highly commended, the provider can say, we're delighted that our student or our apprentice so and so who we're trying to train. And that's an easy fix for me, really.
It is. Yeah. We already do some stuff, because when we did the social media post, we tagged in the provider as well as the employer, so they got a chance to celebrate through LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. In all of those posts that we did, we tagged them in, so they were mentioned in that. So they had an opportunity to kind of celebrate it themselves. But I agree, we could do a few things. We could put the logo up there. Also, the apprentice could invite the provider if they wanted to, and some do. Some invite their assessor, or depending on the relationship they have with them, they can be a guest. But I think it would be important, perhaps at our provider network meeting, when we talk about the awards next time, we could say we've taken on board the feedback, and we'll do this, this, and this to kind of make providers feel more recognised.
No, that sounds good.
What we don't want is to then completely turn them off, and they don't nominate anybody, so we rely on them quite a bit, and engaging them is important. So I think we need to take that on board and just come up with a couple of suggestions for how we do that.
And if 5 of the winners or whatever are from Abingdon and Whitney College or whatever, you could say, oh look, you can actually make a bit of it, can't you? So
I
think it's easy enough to do without having to explicitly, well, you can have a training provider award, but that got complicated, didn't it?
It did.
Applying each time, and it's very difficult to compare them and so on. But I think I don't have any issues with the training providers getting some recognition. They're an important part of the whole thing, aren't they?
Yeah, agreed. So I think we note that for next time, and do more. And in the brochure, perhaps we also mention the provider, so the employer and provider are mentioned.
That sounds good.
Yeah, so that's good.
Yeah,
that was probably our most negative comment, I think. Was there anything else, Sophie, apart from the provider?
We have a couple more. So there was one. Sorry, my dog was just going mental. Have seating available in the drinks reception before the ceremony. So I was thinking with that, obviously this year we had the high tables because people were saying there was nowhere to put your drinks. I wonder if there's like some stools or something that can go with those tables. So people have got the option to maybe sit down if they want to.
Yeah, I'm sure we can sort that. And I remember last year there was the training provider who won came along with his mother, who was quite elderly, and Williams did spot that, and kind of somebody went off and got a chair for her and stuff. So I think if they'd seen somebody, but it's a good point, isn't it? Perhaps we just make a few chairs available so people don't have to ask.
Those F1 cars are quite difficult to get into as well, aren't they? Is the seating right at the back of the venue? Is that where we were all sat before the event? Is that left out, is it?
Yeah, I mean, that would be there, but I think people just wouldn't think to come through there. So they could potentially come and sit in that bar area, but I think people probably just stood in, they wouldn't think to do that. They were just in the room with the cars. But that was an easy fix as well if we go back to Williams.
And then one final one we have is, it would be nice to offer a financial prize for all of the winners.
Wouldn't it just?
In my opinion, that would just cost way too much money.
Bizarrely, we did once. Do you remember in the very early days we did do that? We had I think we had £100 voucher or something we had less categories, so we only had 6 categories the first ever time we did it. I think it might have been the year we did it at Blenheim. We did give them something. But yeah, Sophie rightly says it adds cost, and
we had quite a lot of budget left, didn't we? Because I think, did Blenheim let us go there FOC?
Yeah, I think they did. I think we were surprised at how much money we raised in sponsorship, so we had a little bit spare, and obviously we don't want to have money left over really, so we have done it. But yeah, I think I
don't think that's a showstopper. Sometimes it's not about the money, it's about the recognition, isn't it? But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, I think you get a night out, you get the food and drink, you get the trophy, you get the photos. But some awards, as we all know, charge you for the photos. We give them access to all of that stuff, and so I don't think. I mean, it would be a nice thing to do potentially, but I don't think that's not come up before. I don't think. Memory, Sophie, in our feedback, but yes, a nice to have, I think.
I think it would just cost way too much money, especially since there's 13 categories now.
Yeah, we've got more categories now, and you couldn't really necessarily.
The thing is, 50 quid to a level 2 apprentice or a voucher, that was quite nice. You're not going to give that to a large employer, are you?
No.
How do they split that between their 30,000?
There'd be all sorts of anti-bribery and blah blah blah. People won't be able to accept. So
all the corporate hospitality stuff.
Apprentices, I think, would be the only categories, but.
Yeah, and I think we we've moved away from that, and I think that's fine. So, but I think on the whole, the general feedback was more positive this year. I think the food went down well. We weren't sure, were we, in the last meeting, how we're going to eat the stuff, but certainly they were very good at making sure everybody had access to the food, and it was going round, from what I could tell, in both rooms all the time. And it was
they were coming out to reception as well, where
they were
people were at work, and they were coming out there, making sure
coming
people
everywhere. People who were sat down everywhere or working at the front, making sure everyone had food if they wanted it. So I think that worked really well, and that seemed to be appreciated by people. And actually, I think we said last time, because the food was cheaper, it was £15.50 a head. We actually had about £600 left over, which we then used on wine. So it was we were able to have a bottle of red and white on each table, which meant the bar bill was slightly cheaper. So it all and I was saying to Sally earlier on, in total, we ended up spending just under £354 more this year than we did last year. And I think for the amount of food and drink that we got, it seemed better value for money. And that was for more guests as well. Actually, we had 185 guests this time, and we had 170 last year. So that's pretty good, I think.
Yeah, I think the total bill without the VAT was just under 5k.
Yeah, so it came
for the whole of it, wasn't it?
It was £4,951 and 80 pence. Last year it was 4,656. So that was really very little in it, really, given that we're a year on and we had more guests and more food. So they did a good job for us, I think. So that's good. So any feedback from you guys about how you felt things went, and anything we.
The only, and I wouldn't even call it negative feedback, is that politician. God, he was boring, man. I mean, I would not vote for him based on that. He just took up airspace it was unnecessary.
I would argue it's quite good to get an MP along to an event. So
I agree, just someone more interesting.
Have to toe the line, don't they, and say the things they have to say. But I think you're better off having an MP turning up than not. I think it's a bit of kudos. And you don't have to vote for him. You don't have to vote at all if you don't, when you can abstain.
I mean, he was honestly, I just wanted to claw my eyes out by the end of his speech. It was really, really dull. But everything else I thought was brilliant.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, we felt he talked a bit, he preached to the converted a little bit, didn't he? Because he was talking about why apprenticeships are great, and you think you're in a room full of apprentices and employers, and you know. I'm sorry, Liv, you were about to say something there.
No, I think he could have been a little bit more celebratory and less I'm on a soapbox, but great to have him there. Also, he was like, I can't stay for long. It's like, well, don't tell us you can't stay for long. No. Just you're here and you're celebrating, and then just slip out the back, because we understand you're a busy man.
Find an hour in my diary to come to this amazing event, blah blah blah, whatever, rather than
exactly. Yeah. I would say that. And then my only other couple, the Oxlep team, I don't know if you had name badges on, but for me, like, I didn't know it was Susan until afterwards. And because I'm emailing so many of you, but there are some I know really well, and then some I don't. But like, I was like, I don't know who you are, and you just feel a bit bad. So because obviously it's such a gorgeous welcome, it would be so lovely to have, like,
you're right,
Oxlep and who we are. Just for people that don't know, because actually then you go, oh, Kat, oh my God, finally meet you, and you know things. So that's just a tiny thing. The other one is I'm conscious that we've got new companies that have come along, which is brilliant. But I appreciate this is kind of like a bit of a post-event strategy, but someone like Bicester Motion, who's a client of mine, who've got so many apprentices working in the different workshops and in the innovative, there are so many there. I'm wondering if, like, there's almost like a little mini roadshow, because I tried to persuade them to enter the awards, and they've got 50 companies, all with at least one, or they've got starter motor with all their apprentices. Like, there are some gaps that we're missing. So is there a kind of little mini roadshow that we could possibly do, but in advance of the awards, just so that we can just explain, show them the film, tell them it's really easy, and this is the timings, just ahead of when we launch it, just because I think it would be amazing to get even more involved people, because it's always great to have the university and the county council, and it's fantastic, but there's places that we're not reaching, And can we look at some kind of mini roadshow or
Yeah.
something?
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I think that's something we always face. I think it was less this year, but we do face that. It's always the council, it's always the university, it's always the hospitals and the.
Which is brilliant, but yeah.
It would be great to kind of encourage other types of employers and smaller employers in particular to come forward. So thanks, Liz.
Yeah,
it's brilliant.
And happy to, however, like if any of us can open any doors or do something, I don't know, whatever we can do to help or facilitate something would be, whatever.
Cool. Okay.
Brilliant. Thank you.
No, but otherwise amazing, absolutely amazing, honestly. Oh, and then a little pitch for, I know Blenheim are thinking that they might try and pitch to host in 2025. I'm wondering if we could, for Oxford North, pitch to potentially host it in May 26 with the Red Hall and the park and things like that. I know you're not even there yet, but just putting a stake in the ground, because we'd love to do that.
Yeah. Thank you. And I think that's something that we need to think about because, as you say, Liv, Blenheim are very keen to host it. We had a great event there in 2018, so I think we need to think about, and it's probably something to do a bit more investigating, really, in terms of costs. And so, would the Red Hall be available next year, or?
So it's opening probably about this time next year. So I wouldn't want to commit to that
so
then. And we're putting together, events team and things like that. So for May 26, and there'll be parking and accessible and everything else. But something like that would just something to throw in there. For consideration, that's all.
Thank you. And I think we probably need to have a conversation with Blenheim if they host it, which we've done it before, obviously, but they don't have quite the same facilities and so on as Williams. I don't know if there's somewhere that's big enough and all the rest of it. So I think we probably just need to have a conversation with them. The other thing is we would need to think about how that fits with a headline sponsor. So are they the venue sponsor, and who's the headline? So we'll probably go off and have a chat with Blenheim and just see what the costings might be if they were to host. What are they offering us? Are they offering us the venue? Do we have to pay for their food? All that kind of stuff. Because we, as Sally said, I mean, we bring Williams in is less than $5,000 for everything. It's pretty incredible for what we get. So, but we did have, one of our suggestions was about looking at other venues. People love Williams, but I think quite keen to share the opportunity around amongst locations and venues and stuff. So
I'm just conscious, given, and that's what we do save with Williams, and that's why we've just gone back with them. It's the production cost. So you need staging, you need lighting, you've got the screens, you've got the technician. All of that would have to be included in if a venue, if it don't offer it, I'm sure they would do, but it is that additional cost. And then we wouldn't want to necessarily increase the sponsorship in order to pay for that venue, and that's the balance, really.
If it was a pure commercial deal you do with the venue, it's probably not viable most places, is it? But you need the support of the venue, and they get the upside of being involved and having their venue shown off and so on. But because the sponsorship levels aren't like Oxfordshire Business Awards. I mean, I haven't been involved for 8 years, but that was $6,000, I think. So it's a big company thing. And the total budget for the awards was extortionate, $20,000 or something like that. So slightly different kettle of fish, but
so we'll investigate. And in terms of kind of dates as well, I know we have to think about that. Do we think that this kind of time of year, and I guess Sally, with Oxlet, kind of where we are with funding and all that,
I think we're good with.
Do we go again
in
for
May?
25?
Yeah, I think so. I think because it's kind of a staple now, isn't it? Sorry, Simon.
Yeah, it's after Easter. I've done all my views.
I don't know when Easter is next year. Do we know?
No, I don't.
No, but I think if we go for May, as long as we avoid half term, I think the sort of third week in May seems to work quite well on the whole.
It does, avoid the
snow.
So
we'd look at that as well in terms of availability for venues. So we'll come back to you.
It's the 18th and 21st of April. Okay. There's a later one.
Thanks, Tan.
That's ideal.
Mel, you said there was options? Is there Is there any other?
I was just thinking it was mainly Blenheim, and obviously Liv's kind offer about the Red Hall as well. So I wasn't sure if that was a for next year, but obviously that's for the year after. But Blenheim are very keen. They in fact they had Channel 4 filming with them, and Megan was saying they were quite disappointed they didn't have any finalists because they were going to do it on the awards. But actually I thought, well, that might have been a blessing, because the last thing we needed was Channel 4 cameras, in the venue, kind of focusing on all the Blenheim apprentices. But I know they're quite keen. But again, we have to, it's not up to them as such. It's up to the the logistics and the costings really, and what that offer looks like. And as Sally said last time, we had to have hiring all the AV, the staging, the lighting, everything else. It's a lot more work and a lot more cost. So we'll see, but we'll find out, and we won't, we'll consider it definitely. But I may just provisionally check out dates with Williams anyway, just so we've got, we know we've got that if we decide to do it again. So we'll see, but yeah, we'll see what the options are on that. So yeah, in terms of, we talked about I was going to give a quick update on the cost, and I think with as we said, Williams' cost was just under 5,000. So I can share is that helpful for me to just quickly share the overall costings so we can see that? Or are you happy just to, I can share that afterwards if we don't want to spend time in the meeting sort of going through that? Really, I think it's just, the cost of...
Tell us.
Yeah, the cost of the event, really, as we said, it was £350 more in total. I think overall costs are pretty much the same, the design trophies and everything. So we've covered our costs with the budget. We have a little bit left over, which is mainly the contribution from our social contract programme, which we might then carry across as a contingency for 2025. So all in all, I think we did well to deliver something like that at the cost, and it's due to the generosity of people like Williams, the university, doing all that printing design work for free. Emma, who
and the
designed
hard work of people like Ringer as well.
Yeah, I mean,
and
obviously our costs
appreciate your getting
the
trophies.
Sophie, it's
Amazing.
People don't give things for free unless you ask, and you have to ask, and you have to go back and so on, and that's it. You can't take that for granted. It's huge. So
yeah, we keep them happy, and obviously that doesn't include the cost of our time. We don't include that in our budget, but I think obviously Nigel was there. He sees the value that the event brings for businesses and stakeholders and so on. So it's just something that we do. So that's good. So yeah, I think on the whole that's all good. What else were we going to talk? Oh, the raffle. I don't know if you wanted to give an update on that, Sophie.
Yeah, I can't actually remember the total, to be fair. We just had a brief conversation, didn't we?
We didn't we? Because I disappeared off, and then I ran off with the money as well. We raised about 400.
Right.
Well, that's
so
why
I didn't spend it.
Project, is it now?
Yeah, I disappeared off that week, funnily enough. We had about £400, which I think was pretty good. We obviously sold the balloons a little bit less. We didn't sell them all, but I think the Growing Minds are very happy. And you had a chat with them, didn't you, Sophie? They were happy with them.
Yeah, they were really happy.
Yes, there, Sophie.
Oh, bless him. Oh, new little committee member.
Oh, I told him, stay downstairs. No, obviously not.
Do you want me to show the film?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, let me see if I can. Hold on a minute. Include sound, that helps. Right. If I can. Whoops. Can you see that, everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go see if that's full screen.
Good evening, everyone.
And welcome to the Oxfordshire Apprenticeship Awards. Make some noise!
Apprenticeships play a vital role in fostering economic growth, reducing unemployment, and building stronger and more resilient communities.
I am pleased to announce our winner is...
The winner is
Hannah Gordon.
honestly blown away. I don't really know what to say. I mean, it's amazing, and the reason I do it is for our young people.
And the winner is Nan Barker.
This award reinforces everything that I do day to day. It kind of highlights the fact that what we do makes a difference.
Josh Jones.
It's nice to be noticed. Now I've got something to show off when I get home, and something to be proud of.
Apprenticeships are not just a means of recruitment. For us as an organisation, they're a fundamental part of our ethos. Our winner is Abbott's Diabetes.
Milestone Infrastructure.
Henry Fletcher.
Grace. 2 years ago, I stood up here and launched our social contract programme to enable local people access a pool of good quality local jobs. Our aim was to unlock £1.3 million worth of unused apprenticeship levy. Tonight, I am thrilled to announce that not only have we exceeded that target, we've surpassed it by unlocking £3.5 million.
Anna Christopher.
It's very overwhelming, but I feel really grateful because it's nice to know that putting all the work in, whether it's for yourself or to make other people proud, people notice how much work you put in.
And now it's time for a very exciting award, Overall Apprentice of the Year.
The winners for this year, 2024, are Cecilia Bariali, and the other joint winner is Joshua Jones.
How are you feeling?
Very excited,
Yeah,
very happy. Yeah, I wasn't expecting it.
Have a great evening, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Very good.
That's gorgeous.
Really good.
It was, yeah, we're really, that was the first cut that we had through, and yeah, I think no comments. I think they've got it really just right, which is a nice film, I think, to show. So hopefully, Livs, you're happy as headline sponsor. You can showcase that one.
Yes, I definitely will. No, more than happy. It's been an absolute honour, honestly. Thank you so much for having Oxford North, for having me, and that video just encapsulates it all. It's just beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. We're pleased with that one. So yeah, just want to show it to you, and then we'll go back to Oxford Media Factory, or not, as the case may be. I always call them Oxford Media Factory because I never can remember their new name. But we'll get that out and share that on social media.
When do we think that and photos will be available?
So we've got photos, which I can share the link for. I think the film is pretty much ready to go.
Yeah,
I just need to check that that's the final version, and we can get that up on YouTube and share. Probably, well, be this week. But I'll send the link through to the photos. We've got all of those.
Terry in the office asking because they want to get some going. So
yeah, brilliant.
Cool.
You can share those. So that's all good. And I think in terms of the comms follow-up, again, we've started looking at that, but this is something that Sophie and I'll pick up as part of your project, won't we? Just to look in detail at the analytics of the social media campaigns. We did look at the launch, and we'd got, I mean, it's huge numbers of impressions and interactions and things like that across all our platforms, and share that with you afterwards, just so that, again, with the sponsors as well, so people know what kind of impact that had. And as you know, I think as well, we were able to keep Sophie on for a bit longer, and did it in-house rather than paying for external social media, which we did in previous times, which I think has been brilliant, because it's been great to keep you on, Sophie, as well, and for your support with all of the awards and being able to use it for your project and stuff. And I think we'd much rather use that money to do that ourselves than pay external company for it. So I think that worked really well as well. So we'll come back once we've had a bit more chance to look at the numbers. But I think on the whole, it's, very, very pleased, and probably got more than last year in terms of our overall kind of coverage, which is good.
Well done.
Brilliant.
So that's all good. So yeah, I think we're really, the only other couple of things just to think about was, we always, again, this might be something that we sort of wrap up this meeting today, but we meet again when we start planning for the next year. But we did ask if there are any suggestions for other categories and feedback on the kind of general process and the sponsors and so on. And I think overall, I think this year we didn't have very many issues. I think most, if not all, sponsors got their judging done on time, gave the feedback, kind of followed the instructions, attended the briefings, and I think everybody sort of understood what it was that they needed to do and by when and so on. So I don't think there's much to feedback in terms of the sponsorship and the categories. I think most people are quite happy with those. The only things that we'd probably look at, I think, again, is the careers champion was difficult because we didn't get any entries. I think it worked out fine. I think we said, the people who won, or Hannah who won the award, was very deserving and probably wouldn't have nominated herself. So it ended all's well that ends well. But I think it's, again, as you say, Liv, it's looking at how we engage people for entries for next year, and just make sure that we are getting enough entries and the right sort of entries across all the categories. But I think on the whole, the feedback is that they're generally the right categories, and that we're not. A couple of suggestions around sustainability and diversity, but I think we talked about this this time last year, and we said, really, it's something that they can build in as employers. They can build into their entry and say what it is that they do, and that's something that those judges consider. I don't think you can have a whole category on that because it's too based on what the company's ethos is, what the opportunities are for an apprentice. It's not something they can do themselves, really. So I think on the whole, it's that's all good. Quite happy with that. But we can, and I think there was a suggestion I think Sarah had last year, which again we can pick up on, around do we then extend to all T levels, and we've had a work experience award in the past and that kind of thing. But we'll come back to that, I think, once we look at planning next time for the awards. So I think that's all good. And there've been one or two people have already come forward. So Ignite Sport had a quick chat on the night saying they'd be very interested. They've obviously benefited a lot from the awards, and they would like to be a sponsor. And Liv, you kindly put me in touch with Milton Park, so I'll have a chat with Anna. Again, I think the business parks are quite key because they obviously hold a lot of employers, don't they, who could be sponsors, entrants and so on. So I think we'll look at that as part of that sort of roadshow idea. We could go and do a lunch and learn thing at the business parks, which we've done before, haven't we, Sally? In times gone by. So, and focusing on the awards and our other offers. So I think that's all good. And I think it was great. But I think Josh coming back, talking of Ignite Sport, I think that worked really well.
Yes, that was great.
He did great. Brilliant. He seemed to quite enjoy the opportunity, and brilliant to have him back. And one person actually in the feedback suggested we do something on, and this is something we talked about and we didn't do, we should have a VT featuring where previous winners have been, which again, an idea of a bit of a break in the middle. We go back and say, but again, it comes down to time, capacity, cost. We could do that. We could go and film some of the previous winners and stuff, but it's just that would then be another cost, another bit of time of the awards. And so I think we sort of cover that by having last year's winner at least come back and say what they've been doing. And there was also mention of Nairn as well when Nairn came up. I think it was Sarah or you, Simon, who said, "Oh, you won in 2019." So there's a little bit of that. But again, I think those are just minor things that we'd have to weigh up the time it would take and the cost as to whether it's worth introducing stuff like that when we're already quite tight on time. But so I think overall pretty good, really.
Amazing.
But it's great to have this kind of catch up.
Pleasure to be involved.
Got some great, suggestions and things to take forward for next year. And we always change a bit, don't we, every year, and may depend on what we decide to do and where for next year. But so, anything else that we wanted to talk about or bring up now while it's fresh in our mind, or is that
I guess it's next steps, Mel, isn't it?
Yeah, what we do next. So do we need to get and I think from our perspective, what we'll now be looking at is the sponsor brochure that we did last time, which was kind of an invitation to sponsor. We'll need to get that updated for 2025 and then start looking for expressions of interest for sponsors. so I don't know if, and Liz, obviously you've joined us as a headline. Well, it's been brilliant having you on the committee representing the headline sponsor, but you bring, you know, so much other stuff as well with all your connections and, you know, the things that you do with all sorts of employers and so on across the county. So we need to think about kind of committee membership as well, and continuing for next year and when. So I think we'd probably look to meet again. When do we normally do that? Sort of just before the summer, perhaps.
Yeah, kind of mid-July, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Just kind of review kind of sponsorship offers, and we usually kind of have a quick catch up, don't we, on categories, pricing, options for venues. So is it worth us getting a date in for that sort of mid-July, just before the summer holidays start?
Yep.
So that this doesn't happen again.
Let's have a look. So has anybody got any holidays sort of around about then?
Yeah, so
you're off at
I can't do the 8th or 9th of July, Mel.
I can't do the beginning.
You've got,
yeah, the second and third week I can't do, I'm sorry, of July.
So is that the 8th?
8th and the 15th.
Clear,
yeah.
4th, July the 4th, Thursday.
Yeah.
General election day.
Oh gosh, yes it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, actually, that's quite a good day. It's like for us.
It'd have to be after
Independence Day.
The 4th.
Okay.
Midday, something like that.
Yeah, I could
say
do
12 to 1.
Yeah.
And we can check with Sarah as well. But let's get that in for now, and then we'll have a date booked in, won't we? So
yeah,
brilliant. Okay, thanks, folks. Well, that's great. Thank you, as always, for all your support and involvement for the past year. Another year over.
Another year under the belt. All good.
Won't be long before it all starts again, but at least you have a bit of breathing space for now, which is always nice, isn't it?
Brilliant.
Brilliant. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Have a good rest of the day, everybody, and we will speak again soon.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye. Bye.
See ya.
Bye.